GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. I'm CJ Waterhouse. Tonight we'll break down Pogacar's decision to skip our Grand Prix for the Vuelta and a looming 100-millimeter rain threat that's already canceled the Omnium. Traffic's still choked on St. Urbain, but most routes are moving. Jeff, what do you make of that?
The Montreal Street Art Walk launches Saturday in the Plateau, showcasing more than 30 local muralists, live music, and guided tour at 15 designated walls throughout the neighborhood.
Admission is free, and families can join interactive workshops at the Mile End Community Center, where children create their own chalk murals on the plaza.
The event runs all weekend, with a midnight street performance showcase on Sunday at St. Laurent Boulevard, featuring spoken word poets, dancers, and ambient light installations.
Lots to get to. Let's begin our afternoon together, diving straight into the stories that matter to Montreal today. Good morning, Montreal.
Tadej Pogacar will forego the Quebec and Montreal Grand Prix to focus on the Vuelta a España, beginning late August. The Slovenian's rise after his 2019 breakthrough makes his schedule a point. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
At the start of the Vuelta a España, Slovenian champion Tadej Pogacar is set to ride the 3-week tour, confirming his calendar will not include the upcoming Quebec and Montreal Grand Prix events. The decision comes as the season reaches its final month, 2026, with organizers in Canada already noting his absence. Pogacar, whose breakthrough year was 2019, has chosen to concentrate on the Spanish race, a move that aligns with his team's strategy for the latter part of the season. Fans in Quebec and Montreal will watch the race from afar, while the Vuelta's mountainous stages promise to test the defending champion's form. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Spain.
Rivière des Prairies, Pointe-aux-Trembles Council approved a McDonald's restaurant adjacent to residential homes, overturning earlier strict conditions and prompting residents to claim their interests are ignored. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
The Borough Council in Montreal's East End has just approved a new McDonald's restaurant that will sit directly beside a row of existing homes. Officials reversed earlier decisions that would have imposed tighter setbacks and other restrictions, clearing the way for construction to begin. Neighborhood residents gathered at the council meeting to voice strong opposition, saying the change ignores their concerns and leaves them with increased traffic, noise, and limited parking. They accused the administration of failing to represent the community's interests after the sudden policy shift. The council's vote moves the fast food chain closer to families, sparking fresh debate over urban planning priorities in the area. Council members voted unanimously, despite the vocal dissent. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Pointe-aux-Trembles.
Quebec Provincial Police caution motorists that the annual construction holiday is ending, restoring road work and potentially altering traffic flow. Drivers are urged to stay vigilant to help prevent collisions. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Police are urging drivers to stay cautious as Quebec's 2-week construction holiday draws to a close this summer. The pause in roadwork has altered traffic patterns, and crews are now returning to the streets, bringing back lane closures and temporary signage. Officers on the ground ask motorists to reduce speed, keep a safe following distance, and watch for workers and equipment, especially on busy corridors such as the Autoroute and downtown avenues. Uniformed patrols have been increased, and traffic cameras are monitoring compliance. The message aims to prevent the rise in collisions that typically follows the holiday period, when traffic volumes surge with tourists and commuters. Drivers are also reminded to obey temporary signals and allow extra travel time as work continues. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Montreal.
18 fatalities were recorded in 15 collisions across Quebec during the construction holiday, according to a new safety report released by the SAAQ, SQ, and ADPQ. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
18 people lost their lives in 15 separate collisions on provincial roads during Quebec's construction holiday. A safety report from the Société de l'Assurance Automobile du Québec, the Sûreté du Québec and the Association des Directeurs de Police du Québec shows. The report, released this morning, confirms that each fatal crash occurred while the province's construction pause was in effect, a time when many roadwork zones remain marked but active work has halted. Officials say the incident spanned the entire construction holiday window, with no single location identified as a hotspot. The three agencies are reviewing the data to understand the factors that contributed to the deaths and to advise on preventive measures for future holidays. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Quebec companies are fitting heat sensors under office desks to gauge occupancy and refine hybrid workspace layouts. The move aims to maximize space efficiency as hybrid models become standard. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Heat-sensing devices are being slipped under desks across Quebecers' Montreal sites, giving the company a real-time picture of who's actually at a workstation. The tiny sensors read subtle temperature shifts to confirm occupancy, then feed that information to a central system that maps desk usage throughout the day. Managers say the data will help fine-tune hybrid schedules, freeing up space for teams that need to be together and scaling back unused areas. Installation began early this week and is expected to roll out to all divisions by the end of the month, part of a broader push to redesign office layouts in response to the rise of hybrid work. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal. Later, we'll discuss the rain forecast that could drop 100 millimeters across parts of the province. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Good morning, Montreal. Up to 100 millimeters of rain is forecast across parts of Quebec by Tuesday, raising concerns of river saturation and potential overflow. Meteorologists warn residents to stay alert. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Forecasters say a storm system will dump up to 100 millimeters of rain across parts of the province by Tuesday, August 4th. The heaviest totals are expected in the eastern lowlands and along the St. Lawrence corridor, where river levels are already high. Hydrometric stations are reporting rapid rises, and officials warn that several waterways could reach or exceed flood stage if the rains hold. Residents in the affected municipalities have been urged to monitor local alerts and keep an eye on bridge and road conditions as the ground becomes saturated. The Weather Service will continue to track the system through the weekend, updating projections as new data arrive. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Quebec.
A 2.8 magnitude earthquake rattled the outskirts of Quebec City yesterday, shaking residents but leaving no damage reported. Authorities confirmed the tremor was minor. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
A magnitude 2.8 tremor was recorded just outside Quebec City on the 2nd of August. Residents in nearby neighborhoods reported a brief low-frequency shaking that rattled windows and set ceiling fans in motion. The quake lasted only a few seconds, and seismologists confirmed it as a minor event with no structural damage reported. Local authorities noted that no injuries were logged and that utilities remained fully operational. While the ground movement was perceptible to people walking on streets and inside homes, the impact was limited to a sensation rather than any physical harm. The incident underscores the region's occasional seismic activity without posing a threat to public safety. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Quebec City.
Heavy rain forced the cancellation of both day and evening sessions of the Omnium Banque Nationale at Stade IGA on Sunday. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Heavy rain showers drenched the Stade IGA this Sunday, forcing officials to call off both the daytime and evening portions of the Omnium Banque Nationale. Riders who had lined up for the first half of the race were pulled from the start line as puddles began to pool across the circuit. Race directors cited safety concerns, noting that the slick surface and limited visibility made competitive riding impossible. Spectators gathered under temporary shelters watched the rain soak the grandstands, while event staff began clearing equipment in preparation for a possible resumption later in the week. No new dates have been set, and participants will be notified of any updates as conditions improve. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Stade IGA. Denis Shapovalov will take a brief rest period before his upcoming match in Montreal, following his appearance in a weekend tournament final. He aims to recharge ahead of the event. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
After a grueling weekend that saw him battle all the way to a tournament final, Denis Shapovalov has decided to take a short break before his upcoming appearance in Montreal. The Canadian star told his team he will spend the next few days focusing on recovery, stepping away from intense practice sessions to let his body recharge. Coaches confirmed that the pause is purely about physical rest, not a change in his schedule, and that he remains fully committed to the Montreal event slated for later this week. Fans can expect him back on court refreshed and ready to compete once the rest period is over. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Ariane Lalancette captured the women's title while Kian Sunderji took the men's crown at the Ottawa Ironman, held Sunday despite a heavy rainfall warning. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Ariane Lalancette surged ahead in the final stretch to capture first place in the women's division of the Ottawa Ironman, while Kian Sunderji crossed the line ahead of the men's field to claim the overall title. The race unfolded on Sunday, August 2, 2026, under a looming heavy rain warning that saw clouds thicken over the city's waterfront course. Despite slick roads and a brisk wind, athletes pushed through the swim, bike, and run segments with spectators lining the banks despite the drizzle. Officials confirmed the results shortly after the finish, noting both winners represent the University of Calgary. The event marked a rare weekend showdown of elite triathlon talent in the capital. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Ottawa. Now let's turn to the forecast and see what the afternoon holds for you.
A southerly jet streak fuels low pressure, dragging moist air across the island for a brief noon shower. On this date, Montreal's all-time high reached 31.1 degrees Celsius in 2024, set during an unprecedented late summer heat wave that pushed daily maxima into the mid-30s across southern Quebec. The all-time low of 12.7 degrees Celsius fell in 2022, recorded during a sudden Arctic blast that plunged nighttime temperatures well below the usual range. Normal climate values for early August hover around 27 degrees high and 20 degrees low, so today's readings sit comfortably between those benchmarks. On the radar screen, a band of moderate rain sweeps eastward across the Montérégie, hugging the St. Lawrence corridor. The echo is strongest just south of the island at noon and tracks northeast, driven by the southerly jet streak overhead. By 3 p.m., the rain will have shifted over downtown, fading by 7 p.m. as the flow turns aloft. With the precipitation exiting, we turn to today's outlook. At noon, the city sits under low pressure that remains steady, capped by a fast southerly jet streak moving at roughly 180 kilometers per hour. Moisture advected from the Gulf fuels a thin rain line that just began over the island, bringing light showers and keeping temperatures near 25 degrees. Humidity stays high at 92%, and the dew point hugs 21 degrees, reinforcing the muggy feel. Winds gust to 31 kilometers per hour from the south, with sustained breezes reaching 26 kilometers per hour from the southwest, enough to sway branches. UV index reads 6. No further rain is forecast after the early afternoon. A severe thunderstorm watch applies to the Lacal, Mascouche, Rawdon-Joliet, Saint-Jean-Marieville, Sorel-Yamaska and Verchères-Balloel zones, and a rainfall warning targets the Saint-Adèle-Saint-Sauveur area. Tuesday opens with clear skies and a high of 25 degrees, low dropping to 16 as the night cools. Wednesday warms to a high of 28 degrees and a low of 18, still sunshine dominating the day. Thursday, the jet stream nudges the low pressure southward, bringing increasing cloud cover and a 40% chance of rain. Highs stay around 28 while lows climb to 22, limiting evening cooling. Friday, the moisture axis intensifies, pushing a 50% rain probability across the region. Temperatures hold at 27 high and 21 low, keeping the day damp. Saturday returns to a dry pattern, clear skies, and a high of 28 with a low of 21, offering a brief respite before the next system approaches. Expect the wind to remain light throughout the period. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's mixed with minor delays on Boulevard Lacordaire and a blockage on Rue Saint-Urbain, plus the Habs sign a defenseman. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Major blockage on Rue Saint-Urbain where it crosses the Ville Marie. All lanes are closed, traffic diverted onto Rue Saint-Laurent and Rue Saint-Denis. Expect a queue of at least 10 minutes near the interchange and a spill over onto the downtown grid through the next 2 kilometers. The blockage began this morning and crews are working to clear the obstruction, but no estimate for reopening yet. On Boulevard Lacordaire, a minor hindrance persists at the overpass of Autoroute 40. Construction continues, leaving a single lane open and a short backup near the exit. Drivers should allow an extra 5 minutes and consider alternative routes such as Rue de la Côte Saint-Lucian or the east-west corridor of Rue Saint-Michel. Transit runs normally across the island, no subway or bus delays reported. This afternoon, expect traffic to smooth out on the highways as the morning rush eases, though keep an eye on the Ville-Marie corridor for lingering congestion.
Time Out Market Montreal is buzzing with free kids activities and a surprise Cirque du Soleil performance, right in the heart of downtown. Families can wander through interactive stations while aerial artists spin and tumble, making a rainy day outing unforgettable. The Kids Zone runs all afternoon with face painting, balloon art, and mini workshops that keep little hands busy while parents relax. If you're looking for a cooler break, the market also serves up 5 refreshing summer drinks, cocktails, mocktails, craft beer, wine, and matcha, perfect for a quick palate reset between meetings. For a non-alcoholic twist, the matcha cooler is a bright herbal lift that pairs nicely with a sunny balcony view. Both experiences are happening now, no reservation needed, and they give you a taste of Montreal's vibrant food and art scene without leaving the city center. So whether you're chasing excitement for the kids or just a sip of summer, Time Out Market has you covered today. And now here's Jason with sports.
Blue line depth, rising prospects, and a veteran whisper, Montreal's offseason heats up. The Canadiens locked down former Utah Mammoth blue liner Maximilian Schubert on a 1-year, 2-way deal, completing the trade that sent Joshua Roy to Utah. Schubert provides immediate depth on the 4th defensive pairing and forces the coaching staff to evaluate his AHL versus NHL readiness all season. Eyes on the Prize rolls out the 2026 Top 25 Under 25 list, spotlighting 55 Canadiens prospects born after September 15, 2001. The ranking maps the pipeline from the 2020 draft class forward, giving fans a clear view of who could earn NHL minutes as the roster reshapes. Analysts are circling veteran forward Rickard Rakell as a possible short-term answer until prospect Michael Hage matures, a move that could plug the Canadiens' scoring gap while the young wing develops. Olivia Cook's coaching philosophy, likened to Martin St. Louis, may further shape how Rakell fits into the system.
Good Food Market Corp, tucked into Mile End, has been a staple for Montrealers looking for fresh, chef-crafted meal kits delivered to their door. The company connects local farms and artisanal producers with busy families, turning a simple dinner into a celebration of the city's culinary talent. Today the business announced a material uncertainty that threatens its continuity, citing $35.85 million in net debt and $29 million in convertible debt due next March. Investors are warned the value of their holdings could tumble sharply. For the Mile End neighborhood, the news rattles the jobs and supplier relationships that have grown around the brand. Good food matters because it puts Montreal's flavors on every table, keeping our food culture vibrant. Coming up, we'll uncover how Russian hackers breached the St. Nile drinking water system and hear about Quebec's firefighting response to BC wildfires.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMna for the local Sunset Montreal's evening newscast.
The National Bank Open has turned IGA Stadium into a family-friendly festival, with free tennis clinics and activities drawing crowds to the Mount Royal Park venue. Parents and kids are sampling swings, lessons, and games, while local vendors serve snacks, making the tournament feel like a neighborhood block party. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on the bright green court of IGA Stadium, the sun glinting off the freshly painted lines as families stream through the gates. Kids in baseball caps clutch brightly colored rackets while parents spread picnic blankets near the concession stand that smells of fresh pretzels and popcorn. Around the perimeter, volunteers in navy shirts demonstrate forehand drills, letting toddlers swing and giggle, and a banner overhead reads National Bank Open, play together. The air hums with the thud of balls and the occasional cheer when a local coach guides a youngster through a perfect serve. Nearby, a small stage hosts a meet and greet. A smiling player signs autographs, kneeling to shake tiny hands. Organizers walk the rows, handing out free water bottles and reminding everyone that the tournament's elite matches continue on the main courts just beyond the park. This day turns a world-class event into a neighborhood celebration, reminding us that sport belongs to everyone. Carl Dumont virtually at IGA Stadium. Good morning, Montreal. Russian hackers have breached St. Niles Municipal drinking water system, exposing vulnerabilities in small-town infrastructure. The intrusion aligns with a broader pattern of foreign cyber actors targeting Quebec water utilities. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
A cyberattack hit St. Niles Municipal drinking water system on Sunday, August 2, 2026, at about 4:29 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Security logs show an organized Russian hacking group breached the facility's control network, gaining access to pumps and monitoring software. Municipal officials shut down the compromised segment and brought in cybersecurity experts to isolate the intrusion and restore safe operation. The experts confirmed that the attackers exploited outdated firmware on a remote access controller, a vulnerability common in small-town utilities. This incident follows a wave of foreign actors targeting water infrastructure across Quebec, prompting provincial officials to urge tighter digital defenses. No contamination was reported, and residents were advised to use bottled water until the system was cleared. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, St. Niles.
Quebec's Forest Fire Service has dispatched 60 firefighters to British Columbia to battle raging wildfires, while 110 fires continue to burn across Quebec. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
60 firefighters from Quebec's Forest Fire Service have been dispatched to British Columbia to join crews battling a string of wildfires that erupted across the province on August 2nd. The Quebec team, organized by SOPFEU, arrived with equipment for rapid suppression and will integrate with local responders. At the same time, Quebec is still monitoring 110 forest fires that remain active, though officials say the overall situation is stabilizing. Across Canada, fire activity has surged, driven by dry conditions and elevated temperatures from coast to interior. Currently, the inter-provincial effort underscores the collaborative approach provincial agencies are taking as the season intensifies. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, British Columbia.
Thanks, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. Today's highlight, Pogacar's decision to skip the Quebec and Montreal Grand Prix as he heads to the Vuelta, reminded us how quickly the race calendar can shift. Stay tuned tomorrow for fresh stories and insight. See you then.